Hi, CrossGen community. I wanted to share a little bit today about how you can continue to expand on the basics I talked about with N8N here. This is, again, a reminder of automation. It's a reminder this is an automation workflow. This is how you can start to use what you've learned in ChatGPT, or Claude, or Grok, or any other chat-based LLM, and how you can make it into an automation. I have some beginner viewed videos before that I posted before about this, about how to just get started. Now I have ones where I just added a few and just wanted to show you everything you can do with these things. This is about how you use different, as if you asked ChatGPT for, tell me about X, Y, and Z, or this is about how you could have something like where you ask ChatGPT for, help me with this email, and it will help you with the email. And then the idea that you can actually then say, okay, read the email again, but from the point of view of my boss, and here's who my boss is. Okay. And then you have another situation where you can say, okay, give me the feedback from what my boss would have said about this, and then have somebody else put those two together. Say, here's the original thing, here's what my boss said about it, merge together so you get it better. So that's like prompt chaining. And you can do that in ChatGPT, but what you can really do is put it into things like N8N, where you use what you learned in ChatGPT to make prompts that are reoccurring and that will happen every time. As a reminder, this first node here, that when chat message received, that's just a simple way of saying you can have an internal chat where you type in the message here. Okay. But really what you would want to do is say, when you receive an email and you just connect that to your Gmail, and all of a sudden kicks off a workflow and it takes that into this first AI agent, which is really just applying a ChatGPT to the thing that came in. So like the actual email. You can have it from sync up to when I make a new Google Doc, or when I text you through WhatsApp, take that information, do something with it. So this can be replaced to all different kind of inbound things. Next, whatever chat comes in here, in this workflow, it actually goes into calling an outline writer in this case. And it actually takes this prompt, says user prompt. This is what you would literally type in ChatGPT. Here is a topic to write about. This is actually what you would have written in ChatGPT. Here is a topic to write a blog about. And then you see this little part, there's a little scary code part. That's just from the prior node, meaning this part right here. So I'm going to type bird in here. And what's going to happen is that's going to go into here when I go back in there, and you're going to see. So you tell me about birds. In this case, birds is the chat input. This thing was here automatically, but what you can actually do is if you wanted a bird or action send message at something, here's a session ID. All you have to do, you don't have to type over. You just click it and drag it. And then it puts that little curly stuff for you. So now it's going to say birds. Okay. Down here, it's evaluating what's inside these brackets. Again, at the very basic, don't get in the coding level. That's all you have to do is click and drag in the prior node. There's lots of tutorials out there at n8n.com to show you these basics, but I will continue to cover them. Also, there's this thing called a system message. This is what goes ahead of all your chats anyways in ChatGPT. It sends things in ahead of time that say you are a helpful assistant. And then whatever thing you chatted with is called the user message, but there is a system message, and you can control that in these scenarios. So in this case, you're putting a system message, which goes ahead of every single prompt. System message, then user message in that order. So this message tells it what to do. So you are an expert outline writer. Your job is to generate a structured outline for a post with its sections and titles and key. And in here, it is the user message says, here's the topic to write about. Okay. And then you pasted this part in here. And that's what makes it dynamic now. Now, anytime I send this chat or this email, it's going to start to write an outline about it. Let me just show you a little bit more. First, you can use whatever chat models you want. I'm going to put in my OpenAI one really quick, just so I can show you that this process is. But the general point is that you don't have to connect it to your OpenAI account, which once you do the one time, it always comes through. You can always change the model. I like GPT-4 Mini because it doesn't cost very much. It's simple half a pennies. If you get into these larger models, GPT-4o, not Mini, all these other ones, then you get into some crazy stuff. Cost wise, like an O1 reasoning model might cost you $2. So recommend staying with the cheaper model if you can solve the problem you have. But really what it's able to do here is I would go back in here. Now I have that chat model. Since I just tested it, it's actually going to wind up going through here, and it took the birds and the chat input, sent this also as a message. And what you actually see here is the response back from ChatGPT with the system message and immediate user message right after that. As you can see, it's the introduction for the birds ecosystems. Again, it's an outline, and you take that outline and then you put it into a evaluator. How does this evaluate it? And so let me show you the prompt in there. Again, it's coming in from the output of the last node, which is the outline. You can see it right here. And then somebody hit, or we put this right there, and it's what that is. And you can see again, here's the outline. Boom. And in the system message, I click here, see it more. You are an expert blog evaluator. Revise this outline and ensure it covers the following criteria: that has an engaging introduction, clear section breaks, logical flow, conclusion and takeaways, output. Only output the revised outline. Okay. And we're going to change out this model again here. And we'll put it on my OpenAI account. And maybe this time you wanted a different model, or you could, if you wanted to, you could delete that. And say, Claude is going to do better for me on this. So I'm going to take one from Anthropic. I'm going to put the Anthropic model here. And then you could connect that. Okay. And just to save time, I'm going to keep on going with ChatGPT, but just understand you can, if you think there's better evaluators, buy another model. Okay. And so in coming to this outgoing, we can test this step, and it's going to revise this based on what you said. Right. Make sure it has that clear introduction, etc. Here's the output: blog, post, outline, fascinating, roll of birds. Here's the engaging introduction. By the way, you see this thing that keeps on popping up on me, this little star? That's because ChatGPT, as well as others, are now part of Firefox. You can have it in the sidebar over here. And when you click on it, you get your ChatGPT interface, and then you can change it to Anthropic Claude. And what this is nice is it stays with me the whole time. So I can cut and paste back, or immediately just take things from here and ask a question of ChatGPT, and it comes over here. Okay. So I'd show that. Okay. So there's my output. Again, now it goes to an integrator. This time, let's update the model ahead of time. We're going to give it another, actually, just to show you how cool things are. If you want to use the same model, you can do that. Okay. Got the input. Again, it's the output of the last node. It's called JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. And this one says, go to system prompt: you are an expert evaluator. Generate a detailed blog using the outline in a well-structured format, engaging content. Great. Now we're going to take our bird outline, and we're going to write a blog. That blog is going to return to the chat because I do not have anything else connected to it, but you could easily send it to a Google Doc. You could send it as an email, whatever you want with the output. So let's see what this comes up with. And in fact, I'll just show it to you whenever it pops up over here. And then it finally popped up here. And then again, you can read it. Here's the fascinating words. And there's this whole article that follows your block, your outline there. So you could send it to a Google Doc as an option, and you can change out tools, things like that. So that's one way of doing it. I want to show you other ways to think about chaining together agents. So you get outputs that go into inputs of another one, and they generate their own context each time. And so this is one where I don't have it connected to Gmail, but there's kind of showing you what it happens is on Gmail, when emails click triggered, I want you to classify my email. Is it a high priority? Is it customer support? Has it promotions? Is it billing or finance? I'm going to try to do this automatically. Instead of setting like rules in your email where he says, oh, classify this kind of stuff. Instead, classify it through this, which with arguably a better classification engine. And then also, what can we do with it? So ChatGPT is going to take this as this is just still it is a prompt to your ChatGPT. And here's the system prompt. Please classify this text by the user in one of the following categories. And this category is in brackets. It actually takes these categories that you have here. and provide format instruction below. Don't explain and only output the JSON. Okay. And that's behind the scenes. You just won't see it. But this is truly like a ChatGPT interface. It's just using some variable stuff that you don't have to worry about. I didn't type this. It's automatically there. What you do understand is you call this a category and then you describe it. This is the thing that's going to go in the language of ChatGPT. If this email requires immediate attention, blah, 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 and the large language model is going to figure this out. Understands what a customer support is, etc. Okay. And what it does is it outputs it into these kind of routings. And now you can route it to, okay, this is a high priority. Add the label high priority to my Gmail message. And then this is my agent that deals with high priority. I have this email. This is what this is. Again, the way we got that in there, you dragged and dropped from some notes ago. And that's why you see this funky stuff. I did not type it. Be clear why everybody can do these things. You're your agent in charge of high priority emails. Your job is to summarize incoming emails and escalate them human. Your tools, you have Telegram to use to escalate this to the human over, as well as send an email summary. What does that mean? In this case, it means that I'm going to actually allow you to text me if it's a high priority email. Like, I care about that. Let me know right away. Text me. What Telegram is, if you don't have it signed up, it's pretty useful. It's like a WhatsApp. Let's see. Okay. Same thing. Customer support agent, right? And you have the promotional, and all these ones draft email. So customer support would just draft the email back. Promotional support, you're in charge of promotional activities. Your job is to respond to inquiries in a friendly, supportive manner, draft email, etc. Okay. So again, that is what you learn to do in ChatGPT, how to fill those things out so that then you can break up your workflows and not just have one thing that tries to solve everything. That just doesn't work. Let's look at another methodology here. Call this parallelization. That's where you can launch into an emotional agent, an intent agent, and a biased agent. And the outputs of these are merged together to have a final agent. Okay. So what does that look like? You were to have the chat trigger, right? So here you can only have one chat trigger, is maybe why I didn't show that. You have only one chat trigger per flow. So based on this chat, we're going to route it to here. We're going to route the same output to here and to here. Let's also update this model for everyone. Okay. All I have to do that, click on that, and it automatically validated itself. And now we can take in what these things are going to do. Okay. So based on what's coming in, so analyze the emotional tone of the incoming text, categorize it in positive, negative, neutral, provide a brief explanation. Okay. And this merger, and what's the intent of the email? If is there a bias in it? And that's what this guy's saying. Analyzes text for potential biases. If it exhibits any political, gender, racial, or other ones, suggests ways to make it more neutral. Okay. So this first one merges inputs 1 and 2, or the outputs from the two chats into one, to another, and puts it into a final agent here. Final agent says, merge the incoming tone, emotion, and intent biased into a structured report and ensure it is clear and concise. Okay. And again, let's just give it all one. And we're going to delete this final connection because you could send it to a document. I'm not going to do that in space. So in this, we're going to say, open. I think birds are great, but they make me sad. I'm not sure what to do about it. Okay. A little bit of emotion, totally night up here. And we're going to see this trigger. Going to go off and run the bias agent, run the intent, run the emotional agent, merge it, ask it to put together a final document, and then it's going to respond. Okay. The emotional tone of the text is mixed. The speaker expresses admiration for birds, but the statement that are great. However, the statement they can make me sad or introduce conflict. Well, so all different kind of outputs, recommendations, adjust the test. So you could have an analyze an email. You're trying to learn how to be a better emailer. Okay. So that's another way to think about this. All right. And then let's do an evaluator one here. Okay. I think people are putting these things together. In this case, we're going to have a chat over here, or pull it in here. Now you have a biography agent who writes a biography. In this case, you have to set a string, meaning the bio is the output of what you got from here. And the reason you have to do that is because we are going to close loop this. And so it can't keep on overwriting the same thing. Instead, it sets this field based on whatever's coming into it. The evaluator agent has a ChatGPT message, if you will, that says, take the incoming biography, evaluate it against this criteria. If you feel like it's good enough, then say true, it's good to go. It means push it to a document or email me or whatever. If it's not good to go, give it a false flag, send it to this optimizer agent, which takes the evaluation and the biography, puts them together, and then routes it back around again. Evaluate now the output of this one. How does that compare? Okay, I don't like those two. Take the output of this one plus the feedback again, loop it around it again, and eventually comes out. That's another way to do things. And there's all different ways to put all these together. I encourage experimentation, but this is where you start to get away from just using ChatGPT, understanding how to prompt it with those kind of things, but then using it in an automation workflow and doing repetitive tasks with high value work. That's it for CrossGen AI today. Please send me any feedback or comments. Appreciate it. Thank you.